Challenge. Flatout Racing Network, Tar Nation TV. It's Blaine, Seth, and Kyle bringing it to you live. Come get you some RTG. Let's go racing. Rolling Thunder Gaming. Can I get a hell yeah?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rolling Thunder Gaming, a Tar Nation TV production, Flatout Racing Network hosting the thing. My name is Blaine Donlin. This is race number 14. We're getting there. Amazing finish last week. But, some drama involved with that. But, as is racing, it's what we do. So we're going to talk about that, of course, tonight. Thank you very much for watching. RTG, thanks for having us. All the viewers, everybody who's here. Of course, the drivers had another knockout. I believe it was knockout qualifying tonight. I can't remember. Plus some lotto qualifying, and I was getting yelled at, and I can't remember why, but it doesn't matter. I think it's Rod Weston's fault. Either way, like I said, my name's Blaine Donlin, joined by Kyle Matthews and Seth Cole.
And as you said, Blaine, we are including tonight 2 races left until we determine the season 68 Talladega Challenge Series champion. But we always say when we sign off of these races that everything is unofficial until we come back the following week and administration's had the opportunity to go over, make sure that everything is squared away. We had some doubts last week, Kyle, as to whether or not RJ Cabana was going to hold on to the victory. Ultimately, the decision was made. The block caused the wreck. The 889 is EOL, and playoff driver Bob Seminara ends up scoring his first victory of the season right in the heart of the playoffs, maybe still keeping him alive for the championship as well.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like everything, everything went the way of Bob Seminara last week. I mean, we talked about how, the gamble that he took with, staying out, trying to get stage points, and got a timely caution and ends up getting a win, albeit, controversial fashion, no fault of his, but it's funny, we were talking about this before we went on air, just how crazy that history repeated itself with 2 of the same drivers had the same kind of incident last season, and it happens again this season, and with the same result. It just, how we always say, no race is ever the same, and then this happens twice, 2 seasons in a row. I'm just absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah, it tried its best to make liars out of us with that statement last week for sure. That was not only Seminara's first win of the season, that was his first top 5. That was his first top 10 of the season. So what a time for that checkered flag to come around and keep him in the hunt. But it feels like, not necessarily since the playoffs began, but it kind of got established after the first playoff race that it's been Joe DeSpirito versus the rest of the playoff field. Joe has had an incredibly consistent regular season. He has carried that over into the playoffs. The interval tonight between himself and his nearest competitor, that being Rodney Sullins, is 27 points. But even go back to last week, drivers were saying, we need to perform, but we need the 24 to run into trouble. It happened. DeSpirito had an issue. He fell a lap down early in last week's race, but he got back on the lead lap, avoided the second half cautions, and ultimately finished inside of the top 10. So time is running out for these guys. Joe DeSpirito's consistency, I don't think he can get enough points to lock up the championship here tonight, but he can certainly make life super difficult for the drivers in next week's finale.
Yeah, Joe DeSpirito is working on winning 2 championships here, winning the overall championship here in the Talladega Challenge, and he's also in the finals for the Bracket Challenge here tonight. He could wrap that up tonight with if he finishes higher than his closest competitor, who my mind just went completely blank, who he's in the finals with, but he could wrap it up here tonight, and then next week he could wrap up the championship in this series. So it just what a run that DeSpirito is on right now.
Yeah, that driver that he's going up against in the bracket challenge, Jeremy Jeffries. Basically, how it works in that regard, Jeremy ended up making his way into the finals, being the winner on the losers side of the bracket, the second chance that all the eliminated drivers have to be able to compete at the end of the season for the bracket championship. Despirito was waiting in the wings for about 3 to 4 weeks to see who his competitor would be. As you alluded to, if Despirito finishes ahead of Jeffries here tonight, that championship is all wrapped up. But if Jeremy Jeffries can best Joe Despirito here tonight, they will go into a rubber match in next week's season finale. Highest finisher will ultimately take the championship there. And of course, it's been the running thing here all playoffs long. All the playoff contenders in the field here tonight, they start at the rear of the field, and there's been some varying strategies on whether to move your way forward or ride at the back in the early going. Do we see most of the same drivers stick with the strategies they've had all playoffs, or is this the point now where some drivers that may have charged the front early now decide, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's hang at the back here now, see if the fortunes turn a little bit more in favor of ours?
I think those that are still, and still with a shot at winning the championship, I think they might just do the opposite of whatever Despirito does. If Despirito decides to ride in the back, try to take it easy early on, I think some of his closest competitors, I think they may try to get to the front, try to lead a lap or two early on, try to get a bonus point.
The field's gritting up. There are going to be 37 drivers officially that are going to take the green flag here tonight for another 66 laps of racing at Talladega Superspeedway. Brian Lovell in the Tide Ride going to be on the pole position this evening. He'll share that front row with Jeff Crivello. Mike Mangialardi will line up in the second row alongside of Dennis McCarthy. Dennis actually coming off a Superspeedway victory in ASR this past Saturday night, so keep an eye on that Rainbow Warriors Jeff Gordon throwback. Row 3, Cy Jones alongside of Graham McDonald. Donnie Garrett, he's a non-playoff driver, but a former winner on the season, always a threat. He's going to share that 8th row with Brian Rawson. Row 9 is going to find, row 4 rather, with Brian Rawson. And your top 10 are going to be completed with Robert Spring and Rod Weston. In row number 6 finds Bobby Farrell and Bernie Mobbs. Row 7, Sean Turner, Doug Hewlick. Row 8 will be Glenn Harris and Tim Anderson. Row 9, John Godfrey alongside of Robert Breedlove. Your top 20 completed with the last of the non-playoff drivers, Keith Bynum. The first of the playoff drivers, that will be Grant Wesley. Back in row number 11, going to be Ken Roberts alongside of Brian Schilling. Row 12 will house Tim Nofsker and Greg Palmer. Rodney Sullins will be back in row 13 alongside of Mark Paglia. Points leader Joe Despirito will be in the 14th row alongside of the most recent winner, Bob Seminara. Cody Lamas looks like he ended up not quite being put on the grid where he needed to be, but I think he's taken a voluntary EOL anyway, so it's going to score him back on the inside of row number 14 alongside of Jeremy Jeffries. Row 15, Michael Norman and Denny Carroll. Row 16 will be Ulysses Sandoval alongside of Kelly Causey with Chuck McClure, Greg Lovell, and Josh Metallic completing the 37-car field here tonight. We ended up seeing a little bit of kind of a tale of two races last week. We ended up seeing the long green flag run near the beginning portion of the race, but then as the second half progressed and the pay window started getting closer and closer, we ended up seeing more and more drivers run into problems, a lot of playoff contenders involved in some late race cautions. It will be interesting to see now that we've crossed the halfway threshold of the playoffs. We are now in the home stretch. What kind of a race we're going to be in for tonight?
It's always a good question. You never really know. Like you said, tale of two races last week. Sometimes when it looks like it's going to be a long green flag run, not many cautions. All it takes is that one caution flag, as the old saying goes, cautions breed cautions, and that's exactly what we've seen.
Race number 14, playoff race number 4. Getting ready to set the table for next week's finale. We are green flag racing at Talladega Superspeedway. Pretty even jump for both the 44 and the 36. Now it's really going to depend on the lines behind them.
Yeah, both cars on the front row got off to a really good start. The two cars in the second row couldn't quite stay with them. So But it looks like Brian Lovell's going to have the advantage here on the bottom, getting help from the 29.
That car at the back there, that was Chuck McClure down in the apron. Looked like he was having a bit of connection problems there, blinking momentarily.
We've seen that from him over the last few weeks, it seems like. I don't know what's going on there, but thankfully it's hadn't been a huge problem for him yet so far.
They gave him a lot of room, and he was able to slide his way back up. Currently running back behind Mark Paglia, just ahead of Josh Metallic. Lure, the defending two-time winner from the past couple of seasons. The driver that comes into this race 8th in the point standings, 46 points back. Remember, he was one of the drivers involved in that last lap wreck 1 week ago on the back straightaway. John Godfrey was the other driver swept up in it.
Yeah, Chuck was making a run for the win when that happened too. But if he puts that behind him here, and so Brian Lovell's the one who led the first lap, gets a bonus point.
3 wide, several rows deep, from 5th place on back to outside of the top 25.
I already see some of our championship contenders already up here after starting in the last few rows. I see Tim Nofsker down there. Right behind him is Rodney Sollins. Then you have our points leader, Joe DeSpirito, and Ulysses Sandoval. So 4 championship contenders already making their way to the front early on.
Also, Ken Roberts, playoff contender there, leading that charge on the inside line. He crossed the stripe 9th position. That time around, rolled off the grid from 23rd. So 14 spots up in the span of 3 laps.
Grant Wesley's in the picture right there, along with Brian Schilling right behind him. So, we were wondering what is going to be the strategy of these championship contenders. Are they going to take it easy, ride in the back in the early going? But no, looks like most of them are on the charge.
Got a couple of drivers there towards the back. Josh Metallic, I see back there. Denny Carroll as well. Greg Lovell. But to your point, looks like the majority of the playoff drivers feel that the safest place to be is up ahead of the eye of the storm and trying to make strides as such. As Grant Wesley right now being the highest of those drivers, about half a car length over Ken Roberts that time by at the start-finish line. Outside line starting to move here. They were 3 wide. They've settled out to double file. Graham McDonald, Doug Hewlett trying to make something happen up there. Graham's currently alongside of Bobby Farrell for the 4th spot.
Just getting a nice push right there from the 23. Grant Wesley right behind him as well. Making a little bit of progress on that second line. It's McDonald looks like he's going to get past Bobby Farrell. Going to move up, try to challenge Donnie Garrett for that 3rd spot.
They're trying to get that line moving in a big way. They're delivering some shoves. I saw the 33 get a little out of shape last time by down the back straightaway. The chain bumping between Wesley to Hewlett, Hewlett to McDonald. Wesley now jumps up to the 3rd line where he'll pick up Tim Nofsker and Brian Schilling. I feel like they might need more numbers up there, though. I'm not sure 3 cars are going to be able to do it against 4 cars on the middle line and a dozen drivers on the inside.
Got help right there. Dennis McCarthy moves up there. Ulysses Sandoval, Jeremy Jeffries, Michael Norman all on that outside line now.
Get enough cars up there. That line can move, but it's a dangerous place to be if trouble breaks out below you. Cars normally migrate up the racetrack, up the banking, and you could find yourself boxed in. So this is a gamble for these drivers trying to gain the track position they did not have at the drop of the green flag.
Now some of them have deserted that outside line, moved back down to the bottom, or back down to the middle. See Ulysses Sandoval, Jeremy Jeffries, and Michael Norman now in the middle. They were on that outside line.
The drivers 1st and 2nd in points nose to tail. The gold and black number 38 of Rodney Sullins, just ahead of the blue number 24 of Joe DeSpirito. Rodney is the nearest competitor right now for DeSpirito's points lead, 27 points in arrears. Some of the other drivers to kind of keep an eye on here tonight that are within striking distance should the 24 run into trouble. Ulysses Sandoval sits 3rd in the points, 31 points back. Jeremy Jeffries currently 4th. He's minus 33. And last week's winner, Bob Seminara, minus 39 in the 5th position.
These guys still have a shot at the championship here. I mean, yeah, it sounds like a pretty big deficit right there with the 1 point per position, but there are many ways to gain points. You can lead a lap, get a bonus point, lead the most laps, get another bonus point, and then, of course, there's those important stage points that they battle for at the halfway point of the season, or halfway point of the race. I'm sorry. So, combination of that, and if Joe DeSpirito runs into problems, I mean, that could open it up for anybody at this point.
As I mentioned, 39 points that were in the top 5. Based off the calculations that I did, a maximum points day, as you said, with leading the lap, leading the most laps, getting the 10 valuable stage points, and winning the race, which grants you 3 extra bonus points for winning as well. 59 total points that you can get in a race. So, yeah, all those drivers are still within the window to be able to, even tonight, take the points lead from Joe DeSpirito if he were to run into problems and finish way down in the final finishing results. So, with that being said, if you're Joe DeSpirito, we see him riding 6th on that inside line. Are you in a mentality of survive, or are you just treating this as any other race? You want to be the one that wins the race and try and put the championship even further out of reach going into next week?
If I'm Joe DeSpirito, my goal is to just continue doing what's been working. And we've talked about, he's been a model of consistency. Hadn't been dominating races. I mean, he has led a good bit of laps, but he hasn't been up there dominating, winning all these races. Just been up there in the top 10, getting stage points, leading laps, just doing what you need to do to win the championship. So if I was him, I would just continue doing the same thing. It's working so far.
Thought we had a potential issue for Grant Wesley in the 88. They took him 4 wide, and he is shuffled to the back. It looked like he went way up there willingly. Maybe didn't like what he saw brewing in front of him and decided to bail out, tuck into a safer spot. That killed that entire third line, however.
Yeah, these guys are all over each other right now, and I see a whole lot of people holding back right there, especially mid-pack. Grant didn't like what he saw right there. Can't say I blame him for dropping back right now.
Grant Wesley coming into this race 10th in the point standings, 52 points back. Remember, he ended up missing one of the playoff races, so that kind of put him behind the 8 ball, and still mathematically has a shot, but would definitely have to at least finish in the top 5, I would think, in this week and next week. Maybe has to win one of these 2 races as well. And then, of course, needs a lot of help from the drivers that are running ahead of him in the point standings also.
Well, everybody trying to abandon that outside line again. You see it led by last week's winner, Bob Seminara, along with the 38 of Rodney Sullins in the 8 right behind them. But they're the only ones I see on the outside right now. There comes Kelly Causey, and I think that's Brian Rawson right behind him, so getting a little bit of help. But looks like nobody wants to stay on that outside line for very long so far.
And because of that, that is benefiting the drivers that are running it right down on the yellow line. Brian Lovell continues to lead. Man Gilardi's been his wingman ever since the drop of the green flag. Donnie Garrett there in 3rd. Bobby Farrell 4th. Bernie Mobbs has moved up into the 5th position. And Joe DeSpirito, after starting back in the 27th position, riding in P6, the highest of the playoff drivers right now.
It's almost worth going back and running that in an instant replay and fast forward just to watch them come all the way through the field that quick.
Yeah.
Lap 11. Like, what?
I remember in regular season races, there's always those drivers. I know Chuck McClure was one of them, Rodney Sullins, Tim Nofsker, Brian Schilling. You'd see them outside of the top 30, and there was always that mental game. How many laps was it going to take to see them up inside of the top 10? Usually it would take about 7 laps for them to get up inside of the top 10, but as we saw there with a bunch of these drivers here tonight, Grant Wesley, Ken Roberts, they were knocking on the door of the top 10, 3.5 laps. There's Robert Breedlove around, and we got one car up and over. I think that might have been the 63 of Keith Bynum. They're still upside down there against the inside wall.
Rodney Sullins with a lot of damage. See Kelly Causey in that. A couple of other championship contenders was in that as well. You see Brian Schilling. I think Grant Wesley may have gotten a piece of that too. Jeremy Jeffries right there. So yeah, there's a number of championship contenders that got caught up in this thing.
I believe Mark Paglia got a piece of it in the 28.
Going in slow motion
is
here.
on pit road. Maybe he was the car upside down.
Yeah, he was. Wow.
I think this all stemmed. I think the 36 of Crivelli. Yeah, I saw when it happened live. He disappeared and reappeared for a moment, and I think that scared the entire inside line. I might have backed Robert Breedlove into the grill of Mark Paglia.
It was the 63 that was upside down as well. So 2 cars upside down, Tim Knopfsker and Keith Bynum right there. But it's like Knopfsker got the worst end of it. Had to call a tow to pit road. It's directly upside down, couldn't move. It's like Brian Schilling tried to help him out there, but
wall denying Schilling from being able to get Knopfsker turned back over on his wheels, so he was forced to have to call tow. Knopfsker, one of only 2 drivers this season that's managed to go to victory lane multiple times. Rodney Sullivan's the other one who also was caught up in this, and looks like from the replay shot, some pretty extensive rear end damage.
Yeah, Lindsey Sandoval was right in the eye of that hurricane. He got through there with no damage.
I remember we saw Grant Wesley bail out to try and get to a safe space. He was not able to get through this without contact either.
Another one that just barely got by, that was Michael Norman. I heard him say over whispered that the seas parted ways for him, and yeah, it definitely did right there. So nice job by Michael to get by that.
Josh Metallic almost had skirted his way through and then had contact in the right rear from Brian Schilling, but I think he got minimal damage. And that was right underneath last week's winner, Bob Seminara, as well. He was, I think, the last car that was able to be ahead of where that incident broke out.
Yeah, Knopfsker on his roof. Yeah, Bynum.
Hard to tell exactly for Tim Knopfsker. Obviously, you never want the car to go upside down. But outside of the flip, he gets get T-boned in the driver's side door, but I don't see heavy contact to the inside wall. The tough break for him is he had to call the tow, but I'm not 100% sold that that car may not still be able to be up to speed by the time we go green. And if he's able to get himself a quick caution, he'll probably get the lucky dog, get back on the lead lap.
Kind of curious when we saw Brian Schilling go over to him, try to flip the 088 back on its, back on all fours right there. The shot that he gave him right there, try to flip him back over. I wonder if that did any damage to him or not.
Maybe a little, but it looked like he very moderately hit him, so I don't think it would be enough to kill the race car. I don't even think, based on the amount of speed he carried when he bumped him, be enough to cause aero damage. And of course, when you're upside down as well, it's kind of almost the least of your worries at that point in time. You just want to not have to take the time penalty of sitting in your pit stall, waiting the amount of time it would take from that point of the racetrack to your pit stall at pace speed. I think Knopfsker has been released. Now back onto the racetrack. I don't see any roof damage on that car, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, that car looks really good for being upside down. That was incredible. The car that I'm mostly concerned with would be Rodney Sollins. He had a lot of damage to the back end of that car, and
it looks like they did a pretty good repair job on that car too. Well, now it's a wait and see when these drivers get up to speed. So we had some contact on
Jeremy
pit road.
Jeffries and
McClure leaving his stall. That's the thing too with all these playoff drivers having to start EOL on the field. That means all their pit stalls are in the same proximity, right there at the entrance of pit lane.
Shout out to Rodney Solids too, real quick. The ticker there, you can see the driver's numbers are actually on that thing, and he offered to go into all the car files and cut them out. So we're getting there. They're not all done yet, but you can see a few of them are. It looks pretty cool. So thanks, Rodney.
Yeah, that new ticker. Yeah, Project Steelfire. I mean, incredible implement. Not only for drivers when they're inside of the sim, but also for us broadcasters as well. I'm still trying. I'm in the learning stages. We'll be probably seeing it implemented over on FRN at some point, probably at the new start of the RTG season. But yeah, just all the features that it has is incredible. So looking forward to tinkering with that.
Yeah, we were saying it's majority for the drivers, but there is like 20% of it that's very useful for the broadcasters, and it's been updated a couple times in our favor the last week or so. And yeah, very cool.
Need I remind everybody, this game came out in 2003, and
That's
we're
right.
getting an update like that. I mean, that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen added to this game. Maybe the coolest addition outside of all the mods that this game has. But man, that's just absolutely incredible.
We keep saying it. It stays alive because it continues to evolve.
Yeah, he put in a series editor, so you can actually like have driver cards with headshots and manufacturers and stuff. So if the game has 4 manufacturers, but as we know, templates, you can literally have any. You can actually force all kinds of neat little things, and more so on the driver side of things, not so much on the broadcast side yet. But big things are planned, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, green flag back in the air. Lap 15 completed. Lap 16 goes up on the board. All-sitter Brian Lovell gets us back underway. He has so far led 14 of the 15 completed laps. A bonus point for Rod Weston under that caution, getting himself a valuable bonus point as well. That's another thing that, we go down the home stretch of the season and we'll talk about the battle for the championship and the drivers in the playoffs, but I think it was a couple of weeks ago we were talking with Donnie Garrett, and he says there's still that ongoing battle of drivers trying to finish out the season top 30 in points. Why is that? Well, if you do that, you're guaranteed to make the field in season 69 for the first 3 races.
It's a great thing about, like I said, that's the great thing about racing. There's always something to race for, even if you're not in contention for the championship. That's just as important as winning the championship for a lot of these guys right there, being locked into the first. How many races did you say? The first 3?
Wins the first 3 races of the season.
Wow. Yeah, and here that's a big deal because a lot of times they have to have knockout qualifying, but if you don't have to worry about that. Oh, no, are we wrecking again? Some weird-looking lag back there.
Yes, we are, and Mark Pagula involved on with the 136.
I saw some very strange lag back there. The cars were not where they should have been.
It's a good eye. I didn't even see the caution lights on yet.
That's another thing with the new ticker software. It's instantaneous.
A lot of damage there on the back bumper of that Ford Motorcraft Mustang. And I believe Brian Russin was the driver that was having the connection problems in the 6. That was
yeah.
All through 1 and 2. Wow.
Man, that is
weird, eh? Yeah, I don't know if you
wish I
guys
had
said the
blocked
same
like that
thing
in
I
a
see.
super speedway. Block 6 to 8 lanes.
Yeah.
Man, that is a tough break right there for the 136. Like, what do you do in that situation? Like, that's just.
You hold your line and hope for the best, I think, because literally we're watching Rawson skate from top to bottom.
And Pagula, another innocent victim in that as well, and
it doesn't even look like he touched him. 136 just got slapped by a ghost or something, It's like a Mario Kart superpower.
It's a tough spot of the racetrack, too. Rawson's doing exactly what he needs to do. He knows he's having the connection problem. He's right up against the wall, but you can't control if the warp brings you down the racetrack.
But Tim Knopfsker just got by that.
He and Rodney Sullins both. Which it looks like both of those cars are going to still be up to speed. They managed to stay latched on to the tail end of the lead pack, and Knopfsker, this is a caution he wanted to see because he's the only driver 1 lap down. He gets the lucky dog back on the lead lap.
So both incidents tonight have been caused by connection issues.
Yes.
Man.
Plus, we've seen Chuck McClure with the blink issue in the first couple of laps as well, so...
Not a trend I was expecting here tonight.
Nope. But again, that's what we say, right? Usually, I'm going to say usually now based off of what we had last week where we borderline were almost liars, but usually we end up having races entirely different every single week. I remember there was one week, I think it was last season, towards the end of the regular season, we had, I think it was 5 or 6 drivers retire out of the race due to random mechanical failures. Like, there are so many different facets of super speedway racing, and sometimes they all culminate together in one race. And apparently here tonight, it's coming down to the connections.
Makes me wonder, is there a full moon where some of these guys are tonight again?
I don't know. I don't think I can look out my window and see if there's one, so I'm not sure.
Under this caution, Bob Seminara stayed out, and he's going to get a bonus point for leading a lap.
I almost said the silliest thing. I almost said there's got to be a full moon somewhere. No, we're all on planet Earth. We all look at the same moon from. No, if it's not full, it's not full for anybody. Astronomy 101. Bill Nye the Science Guy is watching this broadcast rolling, going, "Wow."
Shout out to Bill.
Yeah.
So this, interestingly, is going to split up the strategies. That was a caution that came out about 2 laps after we had gone back green. Most of the drivers that pit under the first yellow came back down pit road here, more than likely for fuel. But there are, looks like, 6 drivers that have elected to, at least at this point, stay out. And a few of them are playoff contenders, including Seminara, who's now the race leader, Denny Carroll, Kelly Causey, and Jeremy Jeffries. Cy Jones and Robert Breedlove are the other 2, though it looks like Cy might be pitting. Yes, so only 5 drivers will actually stay out the entirety of this caution period.
Brian Rawson also coming down pit road, so...
Yeah, Rawson claiming the caution. And Knopsker, the lap down car, the lucky dog.
So the top 4 on this restart are going to be championship contenders.
Well, remember back, was it last week or was it the week before, where we saw Bob Seminara have to come to pit road by himself because he played alternative strategy to be able to gain stage points? Could he be trying to dial up that page of the playbook again here tonight?
I think that was last week, and he ended up getting a timely caution that was able to catch back up, and we saw the finish that we got, and he benefited big time from that.
We're going to get the lights out. But I guess we're getting one more lap.
Yep, I was just going to say, we just had the graphic up there on the screen for our anonymous donation. Somebody out there paid for the entire season to be broadcasted here between the Tarnation TV studios and the Flatout Racing Network guys. Completely anonymous. We don't know who it is, but thank you very much. And that was this thing. That is the only request they had. You know, mention the anonymous donor and show this graphic. So there you go. Thank you
because
again.
Of that, we've been treated to some incredible racing, wild season full of unpredictability, and I feel like we haven't seen anything yet. There's still about 2/3 of this race left to go. We got another 66 lapper next week with a championship to decide, and nothing is set in stone yet.
There's a crazy chart on screen right now. This is the stage points that have been accumulated for the entire season up to, well, race 13, of course. We're in race number 14 right now, but there's a lot of numbers in fine print right there if you guys want to squint to read that. As you can see, stage points leader, hey, guess what? Despirito. And looking at
there, you go.
There's only 2 of the first 13 races that he did not get points in that halfway stage bonus. Race 2 and last week in race 13.
And that was a huge reason why Joe Despirito ended up having some valuable bonus points once the playoffs grid was reset. He ended up winning the regular season championship. And yes, obviously, as we've documented, the consistent finishes helped. But those stage points that he was able to accumulate just about every single race, including a number of stage victories, certainly helped out that cause too.
Hey, you see Joe Despirito at the top of the stage points leaderboard, and then you see him at the top of the overall point standings. Well, to quote Dr. Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park, well, there it is.
Yep. Life finds a way.
Interesting thing, too, you kind of look at the course of this season, only 6 drivers have managed to complete every single lap that has been run, which is 857 laps in total. Joe Despirito, Bob Seminara, Ken Roberts of the playoff drivers are half of that. The rest of the drivers actually are 3 of them outside of the top 20. Graham McDonald, Bernie Mobbs, and Glenn Harris have run every single lap so far this season.
What was the count on laps?
857.
That's some old points.
2,279.62 miles, just in case you're wondering. Probably drive across the country. That's from Boston to San Jose right there, probably.
That's a lot of math that I do not have the ability to do.
That's why you just ask Google.
Better than Siri. Siri never gives me the answer I'm looking for.
She always gives me lip. I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. I'm like, why? I just want to know what time it is.
I'm sorry, I don't understand you.
Yeah.
Huh? I'm like,
I've got no space left on my phone, so she doesn't cooperate at all anymore.
We're going back green right around the time that these drivers would have completed a green flag pit stop cycle had we been green from the start. Good launch there for Denny Carroll and Jeremy Jeffries. I think Jeremy might have given a little bit of a bump to Denny Carroll there. And that's going to help propel him ahead of Bob Seminara going into 1 and 2.
yeah, Carroll was able to snipe a bonus point right there on that restart. And looks like Kelly Causey going to jump to the inside, try to challenge for that second spot. But looks like there's more momentum on the outside line right at the moment.
Both Carroll and Seminara able to jump up to that middle groove right ahead of that Michael Waltrip throwback of Jeremy Jeffries. Remember, Denny Carroll was one of the drivers that I mentioned that was kind of hanging at the back of the pack in the early going of this race. Now up here at the front, albeit though, remember, he also is going to be a little shorter on fuel than a number of the drivers behind him. Same for Seminara. Kelly Causey there on that inside line, Robert Breedlove, and Jeremy Jeffries. They're all on the same fuel number. Everybody else behind them going to have about 2 to 3 laps more fuel. And I did notice as well, under that caution period, a number of drivers came down pit road at the 1 to green, including Mark Paglia, Brian Schilling, Michael Norman, Josh Metallic, and others. So it's across the board right now as to how far drivers could go if we go into a long green flag run and when they would have to make that next pit stop.
Looks like Seminara's going to get the lead back on the outside with help from Jeremy Jeffries. We see Denny Carroll. Looks like he hit the apron a little bit right there. So the car bounced just a little bit, lost some momentum there on that bottom. Looks like he might be coming back. They're getting a good push there from Kelly Causey.
Lap 23 completed, so 10 laps to go until we reach halfway, when the top 10 will receive those valuable stage points, and you know that that is priority top of the list of the playoff contenders, specifically those that are trying to close up the gap on Joe DeSpirito, but he's just kind of chilling down there fourth on that inside line as well, still hanging inside of the top 10.
Seminara now gets to the inside right in front of Denny Carroll. It's going to leave Jeremy Jeffries to lead that outside line.
Don Godfrey right behind Jeremy. Donnie Garrett there as well. Bobby Farrell up here. A number of drivers that were inside of the top 5 for a majority of the first run prior to that first caution coming out. Bernie Mobbs back there as well. Right behind Bobby Farrell, 5th on the outside line. And there's some separation right now in that middle groove, about almost a car length gap from John Godfrey back to Donnie Garrett. And even just that little bit of separation, look at how that's allowed the inside line to surge ahead. Seminara is clear, Carroll is clear, and they're trying to draw Kelly Causey clear as well for 3rd place.
There was a bit of a breakaway of the top 3 on the bottom right there. You saw there was a lot of space between Kelly Causey and Robert Breedlove. Now Breedlove's back to his back bumper, so there was separation on both lines there, which is very interesting.
Just took a look here, working our second caution here tonight. And it looks like all 36 drivers that took the green flag to start this thing, all up to speed, still in this lead pack. So good to see there, especially with the fact we had a couple of drivers that were up and over. Keith Bynum ended up catching air and flipped over. Tim Knopfsker was left on his roof. Both those drivers still up here in this pack, still appear to be competitive. Well, here comes Kelly Causey on the outside line. Kelly is 6th in the points coming in tonight, 41 points back. A victory this evening certainly could help his chances of maybe being mathematically eligible to win the championship next week in the finale. And we do have a third line forming, but not many takers up there.
Causey did lead that last lap, so a bonus point to the 00. They got some more cars on that outside line. Now Chuck McClure leading that way, and he's got Grant Wesley right behind him.
Benjamin Snyder in the YouTube chat here on the Tarnation side of things. And anyway, he says, hi, Blaine, Seth, and Kyle. Loving the custom number cards. Yeah, shout out to, well, working with Ben, too, on his league on Maverick and getting all the number cards for all his guys as well. Found out it's easier than I thought it was. Just drop them in a folder and the game figures it out. Or the ticker software figures it out.
That third line you were talking about there, Kyle, they're making up some ground. Chuck McClure was back side by side around the 11th position the previous lap, and now, my goodness, what a run they're going to get down the back straightaway. He's now going to get side by side for third. They may be 3 wide for the lead coming off of 4 this next time by if they can get a surge like that again on the front stretch.
Yeah, they have a lot of momentum right there. We got Wesley pushing McClure. And yeah, they're still gaining ground, as you can see. Three wide for the 4th position, it looks like, right now.
And the first 2 rows of that 3 wide, all playoff drivers. The 24, the 00, and the 17, and then it was the 55, the 1, and the 88. As now the momentum starts to dissipate again from that second and third line, inside line prevailing, and big move there by Jeremy Jeffries.
Wow.
Going to catch out Kelly Causey, and that's going to more than likely move him from 7th, maybe up to 5th place by the time they exit off of turn 4.
Ken Roberts jumped up in front of Kelly Causey to lead that middle line, right at the same time that Jeffries moved to the bottom. So that was almost choreographed right there. I doubt it was, but it looked good at least.
And I think a big reason why Jeremy made that move, look who he drafts up to the back bumper of, the driver he's battling in the Bracket Challenge Championship, Joe DeSpirito's 24.
It always seems to happen. I swear, every time we have the Bracket Challenge, we always see a matchup where we see two drivers running nose to tail, and sure enough, right here in the finals, here it is once again.
Well, that third line completely evaporated, and Chuck McClure looks like he paid the price as he's going to drop back outside the top 15. Boy, that was close right there between Jeremy Jeffries and John Godfrey. I think there was a bit of contact as they rubbed doors for the 9th spot.
Coming to complete lap number 30, and that lap number 33 is getting closer and closer, and that's when they give out those stage points. So the intensity is picking up just a bit.
And just kind of looking back there at some of those drivers that came down at the 1 to green, I don't really see any of them up in the vicinity of cracking the top 10. Josh Metallic is currently back around 22nd. Michael Norman not that far behind in 24th place. Looks like the gamble these drivers took to be able to take on the extra fuel, it's not going to pay dividends for them in terms of getting up here to get some stage points. So looks like they're going to have to go for the long con in staying out longer if this thing goes green on a green flag pit stop cycle. But here comes Ken Roberts up alongside of Seminara. This is going to be for the top position, as you said, closing in on that halfway point.
Yeah, Roberts was ahead of Seminara for a brief second, and now they're dead even coming to the line. I don't even want to try to call that.
I don't think it was as close as last week's finish, but we'll see what the interval says here. It was obviously in the thousands. It was 3 1,000s.
Gave it to Seminara for that lap right there. Don't know if Ken Roberts has led a lap yet. He's got a good chance at doing it right here. Getting a nice push from Kelly Causey, Greg Palmer. I can't tell who that is behind Palmer, the 7-Eleven car.
And here comes the third line.
Seminara fights back on the bottom, but yeah, Grant Wesley now leading that third line with Ulysses Sandoval. Where did he come from?
Got McClure up there with him again. Josh Metallic. Maybe I spoke too soon on Metallic and Schilling. A couple of those drivers that pitted at the 1 degree, they might crack the top 10. Proverbial white flag is in the air right here. Next time by, top 10 that cross the start finish line going to get stage points. Cy Jones coming off of pit road, by the way. The 7 car looks like a scheduled pit stop, but all by his lonesome.
One of the guys that's been one of the best at getting stage points all season, Bob Seminara, out in front looking to get another stage victory this season. Grant Wesley getting a good push there from Ulysses Sandoval in that middle line, though, going to make a run at it.
This is going to be close, I think, here. If Wesley can get enough momentum, it may be a photo finish for this stage win. No, maybe not. Not enough momentum there for driver 88. Bob Seminara, 10 valuable points headed his way. 1 week removed from a race victory. He'll pick up a stage victory here.
Somebody got out of shape right there on that bottom. I think they kept it together.
Scoring is
top
showing
10 there, yep.
Yeah, Grant Wesley, Denny Carroll, Ulysses Sandoval, all playoff drivers. Robert Breedlove 5th. Then Ken Roberts, Joe DeSpirito, Jeremy Jeffries, Kelly Causey, and Chuck McClure was able to snipe the final spot in the top 10 at the halfway point. Seeing a little side to side there out of the 41 of Denny Carroll. Second car on that inside line. Woo, John Godfrey back there getting squirrely through the tri-oval.
Yeah, he was on the apron there for a second or so, but a nice save to keep it going.
These guys just do this 3-wide thing all day long. It's amazing.
Now these guys are past the halfway point. They can start settling into when the green flag pit stops are going to start happening. And 712 just posted. He's coming to pit road this time by. We might see Denny Carroll, Robert Breedlove on pit road as well. Remember, they all stayed out under that yellow. Yep, it's all 5 of the drivers that stayed out under that last caution, all pitting together. Jeremy Jeffries, Kelly Causey a part of that. Godfrey and Turner are going to join them as well.
That's a pretty good number to pit with right there. We talk about this almost every week, these green flag pit stops. Do you want to come down with a large group of cars? You want a small group of cars? I think about 5 or 6, what we see right there. I think that's about the perfect number to do it.
I was just going to say that's wild. Yeah, it's not too hectic, and if they can stay together, they're going to be top speed.
They will have to make one more pit stop before the conclusion of this race, but I think everybody else is going to have to also. Most of the field going to be able to go another 2 to 3 laps. That is, if those drivers right there pitted at the latest possible point. And then there's another couple of drivers that might be able to go a lap or 2 further than that, like Josh Metallic, Brian Schilling, and Michael Norman.
And all 3 of those drivers are running right there near each other.
Well, this was the best scenario for that group of drivers that all just came down pit road. They're going to try and get themselves organized, and they're going to find themselves just ahead of the race leaders. So even if they're caught by Grant Wesley and the rest of the pack, they'll be able to kind of mesh in with them.
Godfrey.
Oh, but Godfrey's back down, and more than likely that's a speeding penalty on the 7-Eleven.
Yes, he does have a black flag.
Now, does the scoring ticker even show that now if a driver has a black flag?
I can see it on the stats page in behind the scenes, yes.
No, okay.
GNL would report the same thing. This one didn't up until 3 days ago. I was running the tickers and I was kind of blind because I couldn't see that info. I couldn't see the intervals. I couldn't see how many cautions we had, how many laps led, how many times the drivers pit. But now we can. And yeah, it shows the black flags, which is really cool. Unfortunately for the 7-Eleven.
John obviously going to lose at least a lap with having to come down pit road. The leaders making their way around him. Cy Jones currently scored a lap down after he was one of the earlier ones onto pit road, and we saw about a lap or two ago Rod Weston, a lot of damage from an earlier wreck on the back bumper of his Dodge. He has fallen a lap down here under green, as I believe we may be having some more pit stops approaching here. See if Grant Wesley, the current race leader, going to be a part of this. And he is indeed. Oh, we got trouble in the back.
Brian
Ryan Lovell got Brian Rawson from behind.
A couple other cars involved there that Graham McDonald is around. I think Rodney Sollins may have gotten a piece of that as well.
And that's Mark Paglia that's parked right there, waiting for the 33 to get turned around. He'll actually drive around McDonald's machine that's facing the wrong way. All this off the racing surface, so no caution comes out for it. And there's a couple of drivers now cycling to first and second that I mentioned. Came down pit road at the 1 to green under that last caution, so they could go a little bit further. Josh Metallic, Brian Schilling, I think with the calamity that just happened there, they're pretty happy that they are able to stay out that extra lap.
Wow, they split. I think that was a 74 of Robert Spring as they came to pit road. That was a tense moment there. I think Josh Metallic overshot his pit.
He did indeed. That can cost you valuable seconds and subsequently valuable track position as they go to work on servicing his Ryan Newman throwback. Looks like,
Black
at least
flag.
tentatively, Grant Wesley
We have black
is going
flags
to
on
cycle back out to the race lead.
Mobbs, Rawson, and Spring. Black flags. Looks like Springs has just been cleared. Bernie Mobbs.
You got to wonder for Mobbs and Rawson if that had anything to do with the cars sliding towards the entrance of pit road that we saw. Well, the gamble of staying out and getting stage points, it paid off for drivers like Denny Carroll and Jeremy Jeffries and Bob Seminara. Yes, they had to pit earlier than everybody else, but they're going to still cycle back up into the top 10.
Some good pit stops right there for Grant Wesley, Ulysses Sandoval running first and second, Joe DeSpirito, Michael Norman able to get up there into the top 4. I thought that first group that came to pit road, that group of Carroll, Seminara, Causey, Breedlove, some of these other guys that pitted first, I thought they would cycle around to the race lead, but Grant Wesley's going to be able to take it right here.
Yeah, Michael Norman was actually one of the other drivers I thought was going to stay out a little bit longer, pit with Brian Schilling and Josh Metallic. He actually came down pit road the same lap that Wesley, Sandoval, and DeSpirito did. It was a net gain for him as Knopsker went down there. I'm not sure if there was contact or what, but he went almost down below the yellow line there as we're 3 wide, but those drivers I just mentioned, Metallic and Schilling.
Oh, there goes.
Dennis McCarthy up into the wall. Robert Breedlove as well. And that is going to bring out the yellow for the 3rd time tonight. McCarthy having to wait up against the outside wall for the oncoming traffic to make their way by. Now he'll safely get the thing turned around. A lot of rear end damage on that car. Same for Robert Breedlove, and that was right around where we saw Knopsker have that major wiggle down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Somebody got together with the 024. That was the first car I saw go around. You see there were 3 wide there, Knopsker, Breedlove, and McCarthy. Yeah,
it just kind of looks like maybe Breedlove rides up the track a little bit. Gets McCarthy in the left rear quarter panel. Not easy running the middle. There's not a whole lot of room for error, but it does look like McCarthy gives him a lane, and Breedlove just shifts up about maybe half a lane, making the contact into the 024, and that's a tough break for both those drivers because they had cycled around into the top 10 after the pit stops.
Yeah,
Looks
right
like-
up there in that lead draft. And
Looks like Robert Breedlove has retired.
pit road is a busy place right
Wesley,
now.
Wesley stayed
Just about everybody on pit road. Big reason for that is pitting now is going to find you roughly about 2 to 3 laps short of making it the rest of the way.
Grant Wesley stays out, though.
I believe he is clutching too, so yeah, the engine is shut off. I think Greg Lovell behind him was also throwing in the clutch. I'm not sure if these drivers are, I don't know if they're thinking about staying out the rest of the way, catching a couple more cautions to save fuel. Either that, or we may end up seeing them make a dive onto pit road here at the 1 to green. This is really an interesting strategy call on the part of the front 3 or 4. Like the top 7 drivers all stayed out. Nope, correction. The top 10 drivers all stayed out that first go round. Probably see some of the lead lap cars come to pit road on the second time by. Joe DeSpirito ended up winning the battle off of pit road. So if the top 10 in front of him come to pit road, he would inherit the race lead. But I have the feeling with seeing the fuel saving out of the 88 and the 880, they aren't planning on pitting under this caution period. And it looks like, unfortunately, we are going to get our first retiree from the race. 2/3 of the way through, Robert Breedlove, who was involved in that most recent caution, takes his number 931 back behind the wall. That caution is going to save John Godfrey. He remained on the lead lap after having to serve the black flag for speeding. Brian Rawson and Graham McDonald will get the lucky dogs here under this caution. So we'll have 35 drivers running when we go back green. 34 will be on the lead lap. Well, we've learned never to question drivers and their fuel strategy tricks, but I'm a little perplexed by this one for Wesley, Lovell, Schilling, Tim Anderson, because everybody came down pit road of those that pit still outside the window to be able to make it. I don't know if these drivers here are gambling on the fact that everybody behind them, they still can't make it on fuel, so that everybody's still going to have to make one more pit stop, and they're willing to take the track position over having that extra security of fuel in the tank. I don't see a conceivable way. You'd have to probably have 3 to 4 cautions between now and the checkered flag, that number of caution laps to be able to save enough fuel to make it the rest of the scheduled distance. I'm a little head scratching right here with this gamble by the front 4 or 5.
Because if they're planning to pit off sequence, so they're not in the tornado, there's not too many of them though. Like you said, it's only
Right.
about 4 or 5 guys, and they've
don't
got to
think
be
it's enough.
flawless. Yeah. There's your lucky dogs up top there.
Well, Michael Norman just told me that him, Ulysses Sandoval, and Joe DeSpirito, they're gambling on there being another caution coming out here, so they're all clutching right now.
Yeah, see, for them, the strategy makes sense because they would be about 2 to 3 laps short on fuel. Future caution comes out, they'd be able to make it the rest of the way. I don't see a way for
Looks like
these
they're
guys.
pitting
And here
right
we
now.
go. So here we go. So this is the gamble that they had. So they were clutching, saving fuel, maybe just out of habit. But the gamble that they're going to have here, pitting at the 1 to green, is that they should be able to make it the rest of the way if we are green from now to the checkered flag. I honestly like this gamble. I was a little confused as to why they were staying out before, but now it all makes sense. Pitting at the 1 to green, and it looks like a couple of other drivers are doing the exact same thing. Ken Roberts is back in. Same for Bobby Farrell, Glenn Harris. So all of these drivers, I believe, even without the aid of a yellow flag between now and the end of the race, should be able to save enough on the upcoming run to make it to the checkers.
Well, as I was about to say before they came down pit road, you mean to tell me Brian Schilling is trying a fuel strategy?
And Grant Wesley? Yeah, they've never done that before.
No.
Greg Lovell, too. They've all been known for going outside the box in terms of fuel strategy. So Bernie Mobbs, actually. So correction on my part. I thought that Joe DeSpirito won the battle off of pit road of the drivers that pit. Nope, Bernie Mobbs was actually the first one off of pit road.
He's going
to be the
control
car. So he's going to have Michael Norman as his wingman for the restart. Joe DeSpirito is going to have Ulysses Sandoval behind him on the inside line. Chuck McClure completing the top 5. Then it's going to be Bob Seminara, Doug Hewlick, Donnie Garrett, Grant Wesley, and Brian Schilling. Well, actually, correction on that part. I believe it's actually going to... No, it is Brian Schilling. That are going to be the top 10. So it looks like the top 8 were the only ones that did not come down pit road at the 1 to green. 9th place on back did. So far tonight, Joe DeSpirito has not led a lap. He's going to have the shorter way around the racetrack here through 1 and 2. Normally on restarts, we see that inside line prevail until the middle line gets the momentum off of 2 down the back straightaway. If DeSpirito can time this right, can he get himself clear for the lead by the time they come off the corner onto the back straightaway?
DeSpirito got a good restart right there. A good bit of ground between Bernie Mobbs and Michael Norman on that initial start right there, but it looks like they're getting the momentum going right now. But DeSpirito, I think, is going to have the lead when he exits turn 2 on the back straightaway.
He is indeed. Will he stay low with Ulysses Sandoval, or will he move up to that middle line as we normally see the leader off of 2 do? No, he'll stay on the bottom, and it may end up costing him because Mobbs got a great push from the quartet of drivers behind. He got back alongside of Joe DeSpirito going into 3.
So DeSpirito already picked up some stage points tonight, but has not gotten a bonus point for leading just yet. At the line, I think he got him, but
Yes,
I'm not too sure.
Another bonus point headed in the way of the 24. Now here's the big thing for Joe DeSpirito and Bernie Mobbs. If we are indeed cutting it really close for a number of these front runners on fuel, I think the last thing you want to do is be the leader of your respective lines, because there's no way you can save during the course of this run.
There's Bob Seminara on the outside. We have 3 lines now going, and boy, what a run he got right there. Was nearly able to get down in front of DeSpirito to clear him for the lead. Thought better of it right there. Goes back up to the outside with a good push from Donnie Garrett.
Gave it a shot. Now he'll move to the middle groove. Donnie will follow him there. That'll put Ken Roberts as the lead car in that outside line. Nope. Bob Seminara going to jump back up there, seize the momentum.
And Donnie Garrett going to get hung out to dry for the time being, but he's got Bernie Mobbs and Michael Norman behind him. But not much else going on in that middle line.
Mentioned that last week, that victory for Bob Seminara, his first of the season, his first top 5, his first top 10. He wants a 2 in all of those columns here tonight.
And yet to see anybody go back-to-back this season. Seminara's been up front this whole race. Got a good shot at it right now.
Right now, Jeremy Jeffries is the third car in that middle line, and he's chasing the 24 of Joe DeSpirito. If Joe ends up finishing ahead of him tonight, DeSpirito is officially the season 68 Bracket Challenge champion. Joe coming into this race as well, only one trip to victory lane. If he were to win here this evening, he would all but lock up the championship. Obviously, there would probably still be a couple of drivers that would have a long shot chance going into next week's finale, but talk about a statement victory. If DeSpirito can do that here tonight, I think that's going to leave a lot of drivers a bit deflated in their championship hopes.
Probably feeling that way right now, knowing that DeSpirito is leading this thing, but it is far from over right here.
And again, there's still that concern. Does the 24 have enough fuel to even get to the end? As he does not have the benefit of draft. Having to keep that thing wide open, using up the fuel in the clean air. Did he save enough under those pacing laps to account for this scenario?
Black flag Sean Turner. He's just coming off pit road now after serving that penalty.
I heard from Michael Norman over whisper during that caution. Him, Ulysses Sandoval, and Joe DeSpirito, 3 championship contenders, they were clutching under that caution. Still gambling on another caution to come out here to give them enough fuel to make it to the finish. So we'll see how this plays out.
They are double wide for a good half dozen rows, 3 wide for a couple of rows behind them. Looks like they might be sorting that out as we speak. Also to Brian Lovell now going to tuck in line behind Greg Palmer. So we're back to rows of 2 by 2 from the front to the rear of the pack. Top 3 currently clear on that inside line. Seminara and Ken Roberts left out to dry momentarily in that top side. There's a good 2 car lengths back to their nearest helper. That'd be Josh Metallic, who now going to draft up to them in 3.
What do you think the window is going to be on pitting for these guys? Are they going to run it dry, or are they going to go early? They can go any time now, and they'll make it.
I think with where they're at right now, you've got to go until it's starting to run out, because if you come to pit road earlier, you run the gamble that a caution comes out, and there's your window of opportunity gone. You've got to stay out the longest you possibly can. Hope that even at the 11th hour, the yellow flag will come out and bail you out of the situation that you're in. Right? Oh, we got trouble! There's the caution those guys are banking on. Brian Lovell, Keith Bynum, Mike Mangialardi, Rodney Sullins. Is that the second or third wreck that he's been involved here tonight in? And again, remember, Rodney Sullins was the closest competitor to Joe DeSpirito, second in points coming into tonight. Out of all the drivers, he was the one that could not afford to have an issue this evening.
Oh, Brian Lovell all by himself just sort of spun out. It's weird.
Looks like the 44 was the first one to go around here. Oh, looks like a maybe bumper grab.
Yep. Tried to tuck in behind Greg Lovell. And as the motion of his car was coming down, it clipped. The front bumper clipped the back bumper of the 880 and shot him back up the racetrack. I think he had the space to make the move he wanted to. There was space for a car to fit in between Lovell and Knopfsker. It just was a slight mistiming. Just nowhere to go for a bunch of these drivers there. Keith Bynum just barely got clipped. Mangialardi hard up into the outside wall. Rodney Sullins, Glenn Harris had to take an adventurous route down on the apron through the tri-oval. Graham McDonald also involved. And yeah, right now, I think Joe DeSpirito especially, but a bunch of those other drivers like Sandoval, like Norman, they're all breathing a sigh of relief because this was the caution they needed. They're going to get about 2 to 3 laps of pacing to be able to save fuel, and potentially that is going to put them in the window to be able to make it the rest of the scheduled distance.
Yeah, they were about 2.5 laps short if that caution hadn't come out right there. So that is a huge break for them. But what I'm curious about is Joe DeSpirito. He's been out in front, not being able to save any fuel during that run. So
It's funny, we start talking about, oh, what if this and that, and then, oh, yellow. Okay, well,
Yep.
everybody's going to pit. Everybody will be fine. Away we go.
It's our job to throw out the what if scenarios, but then, as you say, the caution just wipes it all clean.
Yeah. Yeah, all the what ifs don't matter now.
I mean, we can't be here and be like, oh, we don't know what caution's going to come out, so don't don't worry about about potential drama here. We all know what caution's going to come out. No,
We have unintentionally drawn out cautions via the commentator curse.
Oh yeah,
but we haven't necessarily advertised when they're going to happen. But right now, for Joe DeSpirito, we mentioned about him getting stage points, getting the bonus point for a lap led. There's still the concern about fuel. As you said, how much did he burn off during that run? Is there enough that he can save here to safely get him to the checkered flag? But another thing that he potentially could be in the running for is that bonus point for most laps led. Currently, that point belongs to Brian Lovell. Just moments ago, brought his pole-sitting race car back behind the wall. Going to ultimately finish 35th here tonight. Closest to him was 13 laps led by Bob Seminara. DeSpirito this time by will lead his 9th. If he were to lead the rest of this race, he would get ahead of the 15 laps led by Brian Lovell and get yet another bonus point. And it looks like all drivers running will be on the lead lap for this upcoming restart as well. Rod Weston, Sean Turner, the only 2 drivers 1 lap down. And we'll momentarily see them make their way up here to the outside of the pace car and go by when the lights go out to get their respective laps back.
Looking at the 24 DeSpirito, he is definitely clutching right now. You can hear the engine off on that car.
Forget about Harris having the Krispy Kreme sponsor, King of Donuts. I just started laughing at that because it's the junior Budweiser thing, but then I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's Krispy Kreme, the King of Donuts.
It's an interesting combination. I love Krispy Kreme donuts. I don't know if Budweiser would go well with it.
Just such a classic scheme, and then I always just like, oh yeah, that's the Budweiser car, and then I'm reading it, I'm going, oh no, it's not. The play on that one's a good one.
Yeah, back in seasons 62 and 63, Glenn and I in the Monday Night Barebones Racing Series were in the Challenger Championship. Had some great battles, not only for the overall season, but each race. And while that was a lot of fun, it was annoying because he'd have that Krispy Kreme car, and it was distracting because I would always find myself hungry at the end of those races.
Yeah. You're a sucker for a pastry, are you?
Oh, Krispy Kreme, the closest one we've got to us that I know of. We used to have one that was about 2 hours away. It closed up. The closest one to us is in the next state. You got to go 3.5 hours south to Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, to be able to get a Krispy Kreme donut.
That's like here in Kingston.
They don't sell them at grocery stores?
Nope.
Wow.
That's the thing. You can catch them at different spots. Sometimes you'll see they have like a raffle or something, some raffle table or whatever. They got Krispy Kreme, but they have to come from Toronto, which again is like a 3-hour drive. But apparently I've been told the Krispy Kreme factory, like in Toronto, you can literally stand at the end of the conveyor belt once they come out of the glaze and put it right in your mouth.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that
of the
happen.
Krispy
That
Kremes,
is-
I've seen that they have the
How fresh does it need to be, right?
yep, they have the windows that you can see through
Yeah.
and see as they're being made fresh. Yep.
Yeah.
I went to one of those factories a long time ago. Can't remember when exactly, but I saw that happen. It's man, if you thought they looked good when you see them in a store, watching them get made, I mean, it's even better.
We had a place local in Kingston here. It was called Fardella's, and the place was open like 24/7. You could go there at 2 a.m. and get a plate of breakfast. They had apple fritters at this place that were insanity. I'm not even joking you. They were the size of a cantaloupe. And I would go in there sometimes with a buddy of mine. We'd meet for coffee. I'd get a fritter. I'd put it on a plate, knife and fork, because you can't eat it. It's too big. And they made them. They made them and sold them so fast. They were always warm. And the guy would be like, on your way out, take 2 or 3 more of them. We got a fresh batch coming out in 10 minutes. I'm like, well, how much you want? Like, no, just. So you always tip them. Always tipped them.
Oh yeah.
And then when you're on your way out, make sure you grab 3 or 4 more of those things.
Sounds like this place. They have one at City Walk
Amazing.
at Universal. At Universal down in Orlando. They have a place called Voodoo Donuts down there, and I was down there last year. Down there with Michael Norman and Dylan Young. Got myself a glazed donut, the biggest one I've ever seen in my life, and I was able to eat it. I don't know if I should feel proud of myself or ashamed of myself for being able to do it, but yeah, it was absolutely incredible, the size of that thing.
Those Fardella fritters, you'd have one of them, you have to work on it all day. Literally, I'm not even joking, the size of a cantaloupe, they're amazing. Out of business now, unfortunately. COVID kind of did them in, but they'd been there for a long, long time.
If our viewers are still there and haven't gone to raid their fridges, as I'm
Yes.
thinking about doing here, we're back green.
Yeah, stay tuned, everybody. There's still 8 laps to go here, 9 laps to go.
Our points leader is out in front. Guy who looks to move into second place in points after tonight, Ulysses Sandoval, restarting in second, but he's in jeopardy of losing that to Chuck McClure. Ulysses on the outside, getting a push from Bob Seminara, Ken Roberts, Josh Vitalik, and others on that outside line.
That's a good point you just brought up there, Kyle. Obviously, 20 plus points from first to second stand coming into tonight, but only 12 points separating second through fifth. Sandoval a part of that battle along with Sutherland, Seminara, and Jeffries. So, we may end up not necessarily having a really close battle for the championship next week, but those final spots in the season standings, second through fifth, may be pretty interesting to follow.
Sandoval will get the lead right there. Sandoval getting a push from Bob Seminara, pushing him by Joe DeSpirito. We usually see Seminara and DeSpirito working together, but not right now.
Interesting thing about Ulysses Sandoval, another former winner on the season. We talk about the consistency of Joe DeSpirito, but Ulysses Sandoval stands alone for most top 5s on the season. He has 6 of them. And showing that consistency again here is he's currently out in clean air. Now the big question here for Ulysses Sandoval, same as Joe DeSpirito and some of those others, were they able to save enough fuel there under these pacing laps? I think Sandoval would have been able to save a tiny bit under the green flag run prior because he was the driver second in line behind DeSpirito. He still had the 8 of draft.
What about now, though, the amount that he saved? Do you think he'll lose it by being up front?
He might lose some of it. I'm not sure he'll lose all of it. So we ran, I believe, 3 pacing laps right there. Normally, you can save about a lap to a lap and a half. The fall off when you are the leader in comparison to the other drivers behind you is about a lap of fuel. So he potentially, based on what he was able to save, could find himself about half a lap to the good. How about some other drivers we haven't really talked about tonight up at the front? Josh Metallic started shotgun on the field. Right now, he's in the 4th position. John Godfrey, who got the speeding penalty, managed to stay on the lead lap. The caution, 2 cautions ago, saved him. He's up in 6th. And Dennis McCarthy, who we saw facing the wrong way on the top side of turn 4 during one of those earlier yellows, he's back up in the top 10 and 7th.
What a comeback right there. I thought he was in trouble after that caution, but done a remarkable job to get back up there inside the top 10 in the closing stages.
And Spirito is fading back, so far back that he's now alongside of Jeremy Jeffries. That battle for the Bracket Challenge Championship, it's not going away. That's the one thing too, though, as well, like the blessing and the curse of your Joe Spirito, right? You're loving the consistency, you're loving the gap that you've got over the rest of the field, but I think we had a case right there where everybody was like,
caution,
you gotta shuffle this guy out, and yeah, yellow flag is waving. Got a
Tim
couple
Knopfsker
drivers
involved.
around at the back of the pack.
Tim Anderson.
Racing back.
And I'm not
Sandoval's
sure that a
still
couple
out
of drivers
front.
up there at the front realized that. They were, Seminara almost bumper grabbed off of Sandoval. I don't know if he was trying to make a move or if Sandoval was starting to back off, not remembering that it was race back. Oh, we're 3 wide, we're 4 wide coming back here to the line. The big question is Sandoval crosses the stripe to complete
Could that be
62.
it?
Yeah, that's the thing. We do have the EXC where they can shorten the caution periods, but was that the point of no return? I don't think it was. I'm going to be honest. I think we're going to get a one-lap shootout. The reason being, that caution coming out, no lap cars,
Right.
so we don't have that extra lap.
Yeah, with nobody a lap down, they don't need to go around again, so they might actually trigger it early. We'll load up a replay here for you.
This 5th caution, it was not a lucky thing to be named Tim, apparently. Both Anderson and Knopfsker getting together.
I was thinking the same thing there, and they were 4 wide. Looks like Pagula and Knopfsker made a little bit of contact right there, and the 136 is also involved. Didn't see him initially there.
I think he got hit in the driver's side door that shot him up the racetrack. He was side by side further back with, I believe that was Keith Bynum. Shoots him up into the outside wall, and he's going to take a pretty good lick into the inside wall as well.
Well, Keith Bynum, another car that we saw upside down in that first wreck, still out there going.
And Knopfsker, who was up on his roof involved in this wreck, but was still up in the lead group. He was 18th when they crossed the line prior to that contact. And we got a few drivers on pit road here. More than likely for damage repair, but if you're Ulysses Sandoval, you're hoping that this race is going to end under caution. I think I would be very surprised if it does. I think we're going to be going back green here for a one-lap shootout. Actually, hold on. I think
Caution
we just turned the lights out. Yeah, we're going to get two laps.
They were able to shorten that caution right there, and we had 2-lap shootout.
Mark Paglia has retired for tire issues, and Tim Anderson also just retired as well. By the retired cars, Brian Lovell and Robert Breedlove.
That's going to leave us 32 drivers.
And Tim.
Oh boy. 2-lap shootout here. Looks like they opened pit road that one time, turned out the lights on the pace car. They got Despirito shuffled all the way back to the 14th position. Sandoval, Seminara up here, first 2 cars on the inside line. This could be a big points day for both of them. Even if they don't win this race, if they finish up inside the top 5, could majorly close up the gap on Despirito going into next week. A lot of former winners up here looking for their second trip to victory lane. Your entire first 2 rows, as a matter of fact. Drivers in that category. Josh Metallic going to line up in the 5th position. He's still looking for his first trip to victory lane this season. Same for John Godfrey. Norman looking for the first win of his career. Chuck McClure going to line up in 8th with McCarthy and Jeffries, the top 10. We can say with a surety this time, next flag is going to end the race. If the caution comes out before they take the white, they race back to the stripe. The race will end under yellow. If they take the white flag, those final 2.66 miles are going to determine who wins race 14.
Play a 2-lap shootout here at Talladega. one of those moments that makes me glad I'm calling the race and not actually out there in the race, even though I am looking to do this again in about a month's time. So.
Maybe up in the booth, I'm still nervous.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go, green flag.
Everybody there, second, third, fourth row, all trying to time it. Ooh, McClure, maybe trying to make a move.
Uncle Doe.
Yep,
Got nobody
nobody's going to
behind
go
him.
up there with him yet.
Looks like Sandoval clear to the lead on the bottom. Seminara and Roberts side by side for second. Looks like Seminara's going to have the momentum on the inside.
Middle line getting a bit of a surge down the back straightaway, but only good enough for Roberts to get up to the right rear quarter panel of second place Seminara. Sandoval clear. I think he's just going to keep it pinned down to that yellow line unless he sees that 55 getting a little larger on the right side of his rearview mirror.
Looks like they're going to get the white flag, so they will race it back no matter what.
Sandoval sitting third in points. He was 31 points behind Joe DeSpirito, looking for his second win on the season. Here comes that middle line. Sandoval's going to have to keep an eye on that down the back straightaway.
Roberts getting a good push right there. Kelly Causey right behind him. Roberts going to inch ahead for the time being, but Ulysses going to fight back on the bottom. Seminara all over the back bumper of Sandoval. They are dead even.
Oh, we got a wreck in the back. There goes Doug Hulick. We're racing back regardless. Roberts up top, edging just ahead of Sandoval, who's trying to fight back here on the inside. Ken Roberts is going to find his way back to victory lane. It's his second win of the season, his second win of the playoffs.
Wow. Another amazing race. Spoil us rotten, you guys. Jeez. Second place for Ulysses. Third place goes to Kelly Causey in the deuces. No, that's not the deuces. That's Palmer. What do you call two zeros?
The deuces, double deuces.
The goose eggs, something like that.
Oh, the double zeros? Yeah, I guess that would.
Where's Roberts? He's in here somewhere. Found him. Got to put the flag on him.
It was 3 weeks ago, the first playoff race that Ken Roberts went to victory lane after pointing his way into the postseason. He came in tonight 43 points back, 7th in the standings. He may still have a shot at this title when all is said and done.
Wow.
We mentioned about Sandoval second. And Kelly Causey, he came into this race 6th in the points. He was 41 points back. I think that the entire top four right there, Roberts, Sandoval, Causey, and Seminara, they just kept their championship hopes alive with these top fives. Spirito was able to fight his way back up to finish in 12th, but he'll lose a bit of ground to some of his competition. He had 27 points over his nearest competitor to start the night. It'll be really interesting to see how many he's got going into that finale next week. Great run for John Godfrey here tonight. Coming back for 5th, Metallic in 6th. And we're going to have ourselves a rubber match, folks, for that Bracket Challenge Championship. Jeremy Jeffries, 7th place to Joe DeSpirito's 12th. So they'll face off again next week in the finale race.
As if we needed more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, one more race and literally can go to what? Any of 10, 11, 12 guys.
Kenny Carroll, Michael Norman, Grant Wesley, they were the rest of the top 10 here tonight. 32 drivers finishing the race all on the lead lap. And a thriller here this evening, setting the table for the championship race next week.
Thriller. No, I'm sorry.
That was a thriller, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to spot for Ulysses at the end there. I told him he should have went high, but he wanted to avoid because he knew that if he would have went high, they would have went 3 wide.
I don't really think there was. I don't think Ulysses could have done anything different right there. Honestly, I feel like he didn't have quite enough room between him and Roberts right there. They just got the run at the right time right there.
And again, too, I think that, for those 4 drivers I mentioned, Robert, Sandoval, Causey, Seminara, they knew the situation. They all obviously wanted to win, but I think there was some big picture racing that went into that as well. There was no door banging as they came back to the stripe. There was no shoving as they were on the back straightaway. It was about as orderly a final lap battle as you could possibly have. All of them realizing that one of them was going to win the race, but the last thing they wanted to do was throw away a solid finish here tonight to still keep themselves within striking distance of the 24. Let's see if we can dial up our podium finishers here tonight. Playoff contenders all, potentially going into next week, champion hopefuls still. Let's see if we can get a hold of the driver brought it home 3rd place here tonight, Kelly Causey. Hey, Kelly, it's the guys up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey.
Wild race here tonight. You had to work your way from the back to the front. I think you started 4th to last, if I'm reading this correctly. Played some gambles during the course of this race to gain track position. Got the cautions you needed to save the fuel to get to the end. And in the conversation for this victory, we mentioned about a number of drivers, including yourself, that found yourself about 35 to 40 points behind the points lead. A solid run here tonight. Do you think you did enough to be able to keep yourself in the championship battle, or were you gunning for the victory?
Well, I don't know if I've done enough. Joe, we got to get that horseshoe. He's got on him somewhere, because it doesn't seem like he has any bad luck. But no, I would. I was behind Ken, and I was pleasant to be there and going to have a good finish. So, I know a win would have maybe helped, but I don't know if I think I've missed 3 races this year. And so I think I started dead last once we started in the playoffs. So if I can get up there to 2nd, it's kind of my goal, because I really don't know that I can get to Joe. But yeah, that was a good race tonight.
We obviously saw the ability to end this thing with an in-regulation green-white checker. Just how much preliminary strategy was there in preparation for that restart? How much went according to plan?
Well, we were sitting there. It was me, Ken, and Ken in front of me, and then John. And so, we knew I was just going to stay with him. At that point, there's only 2 laps to go. The high line, might come. But to be honest with you, there's times that if you really got some good drivers that you're comfortable riding with, you can stay together there and kind of fight that 3rd line off. And I think Chuck went high, and I'm not sure if anybody went with him. I don't think they did, but anyway, it never really came. And so it gave us the opportunity, that 2nd line, to go, and just did everything I could to push Ken, and John was doing the same to me. And I'm not exactly sure who was behind him, but worked out the way we wanted it to.
We've seen really the entirety of these playoffs, high-pressure situations, exciting finishes, photo finishes here in back-to-back weeks. We've got 1 race to go next week. Based off of what's been taking place here so far in the playoffs, what is the mental preparation for next week?
You'll start in the back. You got to avoid things early, and at some point you've got to take a gamble, try to get up to the front, whether you're going to the 3rd line or maybe staying out, hoping another caution comes out, all that kind of stuff. But it's really a challenge starting from the back. But just try to find my teammates and get with them and move to the front and get with some guys that I like enjoy running with. So it'll be a challenge, but it'll be a whole lot of fun.
Well, Kelly, a great run for you here tonight. Podium finish. We had you coming in tonight still mathematically in the hunt for the championship, and may have gained some ground as well with this 3rd place finish. So we look forward to seeing where you're situated with 1 race left to go in the season. Best of luck next week, and congratulations on the run here tonight. We'll now give you the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
I'd like to thank my family and all the ones that watch the racing stuff, and you guys that do a great job here, and then RTG. This is top notch, top shelf, I guess, as they call it in the bourbon world. But and then the Red Line guys, teammates that we've been working well together, and had some guys that are in the playoffs. So, but outstanding victory by Ken. Anytime I'm with him, we really run really well together, and so he did an outstanding job and did what he had to do to win. And I appreciate John helping us get there. But appreciate you guys, and I can't wait to get back racing next Thursday.
Well, we're looking forward to it. That's Kelly Causey, third place here tonight in the penultimate race of season 60 of the Talladega Challenge Series. Congratulations on the job well done here tonight, and best of luck next week.
Thank you.
See if we can now get a hold of the runner-up finisher here tonight. Yet another driver hoping to be in the playoff conversation for the championship next Thursday night. Let's get a hold of Ulysses Sandoval. Hey, Ulysses, the guys up here in the booth, you got a copy?
See.
Well, man, we ended up seeing that things were going to get very interesting fuel-wise. I think you were the second-place driver for most of that run up to the next to last caution. You then end up getting to the race lead, and then are the control car on that final green-white checkered. Let's start with the green-white checkered. Obviously, the decision to stay down there on the inside line, that middle line's got some momentum. Were you hoping that maybe there'd be a duck out of 3 wide that would kill the momentum of that middle line and the inside line would prevail? Were you surprised they stayed organized there in that middle groove and the 55 was able to get that momentum off of 4 through the trioval?
Well, to be honest, I was thinking about all the instances when we had a similar situation. And every time I went up, I had to block because the guy didn't want to push me. He wanted to get around me. And I remember the times when I did that and the guy got wrecked and I got penalized and I get booted out of the chase. All of that went through my head. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to stay here. I'm ahead of P1 in points, well, at least for a few positions. So I'm just going to get what I'm going to get from this because, I already have the chance to finish ahead of him. I'm not going to screw it like the several times that I have screwed it before.
The big picture racing there in the closing stages of this one ultimately brings you home on the podium, second place. As you say, you're going to gain some ground on Despirito going into next week. The scoring had you 31 points behind coming into tonight. I also mentioned an interesting tip that you actually are leading the category of top fives, and you will score your 7th top 5 here tonight. I want to go back now to the gamble of staying out yourself. I believe Joe Despirito was a part of this group as well. About 6 of you electing to stay out, gamble on a caution coming out to give you the necessary laps to save the fuel. Once we got to that point, how good, how short were you? Were you confident when you eventually were the lead car that if we'd gone green to the end, you had enough to get to the checkered flag?
Well, the only confidence I have is the fact that the guy who I'm racing on points was in the same strategy. So if he had some sort of a hiccup with this fuel strategy, I'm gonna sink with him. So I'm just trying to keep an eye on him because if his gamble and my gamble, which is the same one, works, it would work for both. I just wanted to keep him in sight. Whatever happens to him will happen to me. But then, while Michael was the one actually worried about it, I was, you know me. I was chilling. I was like, Michael, we're gonna have another caution.
I have to
buddy.
trust you, though.
and even after we had the caution and we were good on fuel, Michael was still, what if we run out? What if this? What if that?
Hey,
Michael.
that is not what I said. Okay, I said I'm trusting you with this. We got our caution. It was still splashing. It was going back to splash on in turn 4, and then we had the other caution. So I was thankful for that.
You were scared, Michael. You're a team wrecking baller. You don't fear danger.
I will just say this: we have seen over the last few seasons, Ulysses is never afraid to try something different when it comes to fuel strategy. Sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't. But you gotta admire the guy's courage.
Hey, listen.
When it hasn't, it does hurt.
You can ask Ulysses and Kyle. You guys are so glad that there's not a radioactive when it comes to when it comes to this series because the things I say on Whisper.
I know. Yeah, that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm inventing stuff. So I don't really want to show what you really said. But that's what was the message you wanted to send me.
Well, I know that we don't say it often enough, but shout out to Jeremy Jeffries. Seems like just about every broadcast race we have, he is there getting the points calculated in for us, so that way we have a pretty good idea going into next week what the situation is. As I mentioned, you were 31 points behind Espirito, third in the standings coming into tonight. You now jump to second in points, 18 points back, so you almost cut into half of that interval. What's the goal for next week? You mentioned here tonight that you kind of were playing the same strategy as the Spirit, so it ultimately got you a good finish. Are you keeping in the same range as the 24 again next week, or are you now just going to kind of do your own thing, hope for the same result, hope maybe you get a little bit of help of him running into trouble and be able to snipe this championship?
My plan for next week is gonna be pray for something for a good finish, because I feel like this 5 race chase was too short. As I said the last week, I'm running out of races, and the because of he finishing having a win, giving some bonus points on coming into the chase, and then he was P1 or P2 somewhere over there coming into the chase. So he set up the benchmark really high, and I just don't have enough races. I would love if next season we have a longer chase, maybe with that. Because next week I gotta execute with a double the better performance, a better double performance, however you call it, so I can even match him, because I'm even with this good finish, I'm still I still haven't cut off half of the points I was short. I'm almost half of it, but still there is a bunch to go right now. I'm gonna hinge of hope. But something I could learn here is that it's about the safe strategy. I'm gonna try to gamble less, because if it has worked right now, and it has worked for me the last few weeks, actually when we started the chase, I started to play a little safer than we were back in the regular season. I just started to do gambles and finish last.
I mean, 18 points with bonus points and stage points and good finish. I mean, that sounds like a comfortable lead, but it's not a lock by any means. So anything can happen next week.
Yeah, I think to your point too, I think the stage points is going to be really interesting next week. I think, as you say, they could be the pendulum that swings one way or the other into maybe deciding the championship. But Ulysses, is a great step in the right direction. You keep yourself in the hunt for the title next week. As mentioned, closing up 13 of those 31 points, sitting second in the standings going into the finale with a solid second place run here tonight. We'll give you the opportunity here now for some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
All right, a big shout out to Team Wrecking Ball, my teammates, my friends, Michael Norman, and my Team Wrecking Ball friends in the primetime friends, and then NCRA friends I had today who raced with me: Doggy, Graham, Mikey, Keith, and also Michael. Who were there with me this whole time. A big thank you for them to show up tonight, and we shared insights. Well, not so much insight, more like a moment of scare when we were when we were planning strategy. A bunch of discussions over there on determining what was good. But a big shout out to my teammates, and that's all, you guys. Nice win, Kenny, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, man.
That's Ulysses Sandoval, second place here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. Going to look to run for a championship next week, as will this man. You just heard him there. We've got a race winner, Ken Roberts, dialed up. And Ken, third multi-time winner on the season. You picked a heck of a time to get hot now. Second trip to victory lane in the last 4 races, and you've got yourself still mathematically in the conversation for the championship as well. 29 points. Certainly still doable, and you got a lot of momentum here down the home stretch of the season.
Yeah, it's been pretty fortunate here. these last couple races. Got that first win in the first race, so it, had ups and downs. Last week killed me. That black flag penalty on that last stop absolutely killed me. But we'll do what we can, and we'll give Joe as much of a challenge as we can. But he's had a pretty phenomenal season, so it's going to be hard to knock him off the stump.
We saw just how tightly formed up that middle line was, specifically off of turn 2 down the back straightaway there on that final lap. A lot of times when we end up having these late race shootouts, we'll see that third line shootout and the inside line gains the momentum, but you were able to maintain all the way through the tri-oval half a car length. You pick up this victory. Were you surprised the momentum lasted there, that third line didn't form and stall you guys out?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Kelly and John behind me, they was pushing as hard as they could. I think Jeremy was even behind them guys. And once we got off turn 2, we really started to get picking up some momentum. So, I was like, well, if we can get out here, get a couple cars out in front, it can stifle that third line a little bit. But did it ever form? I didn't see it.
I don't believe it did.
Yeah. I was really surprised by that because I figured guys would jump out, especially, with what, a short race there.
It formed let's put it this way, it formed in the tri-oval, the third lane. Coming to the checkered.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So as mentioned, 29 points, certainly doable, but with super speedway racing, there's so many moving parts and pieces every single lap. So can't really pinpoint a target finish for you in relation to Despirito, Sandoval, some of the others that are ahead of you in the standings. But at least looking forward, is the goal to go to victory lane for a third time, close out the season, and with the victory tonight, the victory you had a few weeks ago, is there anything that you can kind of dial into in preparation for next week in that bid to be the only 3-time winner here in season 68?
Yeah, that'd be a pretty nice goal to have, is to be the only 3-time winner, but it's a tough crowd, man. It's really hard to win here. There's some really, really good drivers here. The only thing I can really think to do is maybe talk Josh into running the race on Wednesday and just don't tell Joe. That'd be about my only shot.
Not sure you're going to quite be able to convince him about that, but hey, you can give it a yeoman's try. But Ken,
right.
Congratulations. Great run here tonight. Third driver to go to victory lane multiple times this season. We hear every driver say how difficult these races are to win. You were able to do it twice in the last month. So congratulations on that. You keep yourself mathematically in the hunt for the championship going into next week as well. So best of luck in that. And before we let you go and continue celebrating your win here tonight, floor is yours for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, I'd like to first thank my teammates, Kelly and John. Those last 4 laps to go or whatever we had. Seminara and Ulysses kind of got together, and Seminara was kind of shaking around. I thought they were going to wreck, so I went low, to avoid it. And when I looked up, all I seen was Alabama state line. I said, I'm in trouble. But then Kelly and John pulled down in there with me, and we was able to, stay up front. So that's why I got to thank them guys. And, this wins just as much as them two as it is mine. So I really appreciate those guys, the teammates. Want to thank the broadcast team. I can't wait to go back and watch this. Blaine and you and Kyle, you guys always do an excellent job. Thank RTG, Josh and Tim and Rodney, the staff here. They do an excellent job getting all this corralled up and getting us going. There's a lot goes on. Josh is a very busy boy during these races. And I'd like to thank Rodney for painting up my Mountain Dew car. He painted this car, and he was home. He was home hurt. He got hurt at work, and he was just painting up a bunch of cars. And he said, "What do you think of this?" And it didn't have any numbers on it. I said, "You need to slap a 55 on that." And so I've had that car ever since and love it. But and I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Solins. I'm starting to become his number one fan, I think, or I'll be his number one fan.
Well, Ken, congratulations on the victory here tonight. Picking up 2 victories here in season 68. We'll be watching intently next week as you try and maybe make it 3, be at the top of that win column for season 68, but also try and run for that championship. Enjoy the victory here tonight, and best of luck in the finale.
Thanks, Seth. Have a good night, guys.
And don't go nowhere. I need to talk to you.
You want to do it live on air?
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Behind
do
the
it.
scenes.
Do it live on air. Do it.
Yeah. But wow, what a race here tonight. Going to set up the table for not 1 but 2 championship races next week as Jeremy Jeffrey sends it into a rubber match against Despirito for the Bracket Challenge Championship. So obviously there's a lot of different scenarios, as I say, going into next week to kind of figure out who conceivably has a shot, what position they'd have to finish in. Everything changes from lap to lap, from corner to corner. But next week, this is provided we have 40 drivers start. I think right now, realistically, we have a 3-horse race for this championship. Despirito still the points leader. Sandoval gaining a ton of ground, now 18 points back in second. And Jeremy Jeffrey's going to gain a spot in the stands as well. He'll move up to third, minus 20. Ken Roberts, who went to victory lane here tonight, 29 points back. Now, he's at least within striking range of Sandoval and Jeffries. That's a key thing. But he's going to need a little bit of help as well in that regard, and also going to have to make up at least 30 positions on Joe Despirito. This is not counting bonus points, not counting stage points. Now, mathematically, as I said at the beginning of the night, a driver can gain as much as 59 points. So by that standard, Kelly Causey, who's 5th in points, Bob Seminara 6th, Rodney Sullivan 7th, and Grant Wesley in 8th. They all fit under that 59-point window. But even to tonight, Kyle, where we saw so many times Joe Despirito and Jeremy Jeffries couldn't get away from each other, it's very difficult in these races to gain a chunk of ground over the other drivers you're battling.
Honestly, if I was Joe Despirito right now, I would actually be kind of nervous. I mean, yeah, 18, like I mentioned, 18 points. That's a comfortable lead, but it's not a lock by any means. He has been extremely consistent throughout the entire chase. He's had luck on his side the entire chase. Maybe this is just me being, realistic, borderline pessimistic, but if I was in that position, I'd be thinking everything has gone my way so far this season. Is it going to be the final race where the luck finally runs out, or can he hold on for one more race? I don't know. We'll see.
It's interesting when we were talking to Ulysses Sandoval, he easily could have moved up in front of that middle line, maybe have been the one parked in victory lane here tonight, but he was already at that point in time, big picture racing, realizing, hey, I'm going to get a solid finish. I don't want to wreck this car. I don't want to throw away these points that I'm going to gain. For those 3 I just mentioned, for Despirito, Sandoval, Jeremy Jeffries next week, is the win an afterthought? Are we big picture points racing for those 3 drivers next week?
I mean, those 3 drivers, they have a shot at the championship. They're already behind. I mean, what do they have to lose at this point? That's at least how I look at it. That they need to make up ground on Despirito in order to potentially win the championship. I think it's going to be all offense for those guys.
It's going to be awesome.
And of course, next week as well, there's a bunch of drivers that are still sitting there with a 0 in the win column. You talk about drivers with nothing to lose. There are drivers that they know they're not going to be able to win the championship. They're not mathematically in the hunt. You take them into next week, they still want to finish out season 68 with a checkered flag, build some momentum towards season 69. So we've seen some aggressive racing here through the entirety of the chase. We've seen some thrilling finishes. I feel like we're more than likely going to be setting up for another nail-biter next week. Even with a championship on the line, I think that checkered flag is going to be highly coveted for just about every driver in the field.
And one of those drivers just joined us up here at the booth once again. Michael, that's going to be your mentality heading into next week. Just nothing to lose. Try to go for the win, right?
Yeah, basically. I might even just take next week off and be up here with you guys, to be honest with you. Like, I'm top.
Pro tip, that's not how you win a race.
Well,
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. It's called not driving. You win by... But, no, I'll be there more than likely, unless I have a hectic work schedule. But, yeah, I go in, nothing to lose. Maybe try to help, maybe Ulysses, some of my teammates who are still in the points battle, do something, or just go for it myself.
That's going to be very, very interesting going into next week. What was looking like for the first half of the playoffs, looking like it was going to be a runaway. Now it's gotten a little interesting. As to your question, Michael, top 3 in points, 20-point separation to Spirito, 18 up on Sandoval, 20 back to Jeremy Jeffries. Those will more than likely be the 3 we'll be highlighting in next week's season finale for the championship.
And let us not forget the halfway points, if I believe they do that. Also, what about the bracket?
It's going to be decided next week as well. So
nice.
Joe DeSpirito could walk away with a good bit of gold next week if everything goes his way.
Wasn't there somebody who did that once, won the title and the bracket challenge?
I want to say it was Brian Schilling, but I could be incorrect in that. I'm going to have to check back and see who that last driver was.
Yes, go through your stats like you're so good at doing.
Yes. Well, what a way to set up for next week's season finale. Another thriller here tonight, another photo finish. 46 1/1000ths of a second. Ken Roberts picking up his second victory on the season. Only the third driver to do so, joining Rodney Sullins and Tim Knopfsker here in season 68. We thank you all for tuning to our coverage here tonight. Be sure to be back here joining us 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Thursday night. There'll be a finale you are not going to want to miss here for the Talladega Challenge Series. But for Michael Norman, Kyle Matthews, Blaine Donlin, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for inviting us into your home this Thursday night. We'll see you guys next week for the finale of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series right here on the Flatout Racing Network and Tar Nation TV.